invincible. That's right.
Hey YouTubers, moving on to the third set of the night. This is Canata versus Fantasy, what I consider to be the most important matchup of the round of 8. I will discuss that in game, but yeah, I think this will be a stellar matchup. Both these guys are so great TVT. I mean, that's how Fantasy made a name for himself with his Terran versus Terran when he first hit the scene. And for a while, that's all I thought he was good at. But then, of course, Fantasy proved himself to be an excellent versus Protoss player and a very creative versus Zerg player. And his Terran versus Terran has kind of taken a back foot to those two other matchups. But I think he still has very good TVT. Especially when you start bringing dropships into it. His dropship micro is unparalleled, I believe. But it looks like we are getting ready to start SKT1 matchup, the third team matchup of the night. 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Colors and positions very important in a mirror matchup. This is on Heartbreak Ridge, by the way. Looks like Canata is brown. So over here in brown at the 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock position is Canata, and over in white at the 9 o'clock position is Fantasy. This might be the same colors of Lita versus Canata on this map recently in the last OSL match that Canata had. But whatever. Like I said, I do think this is the most important matchup of the round of 8, and I have a lot of reasons why. Canata was supposed to be Fantasy. When he first hit the scene, he was I Love UUV's protege. I mean, his first pro gamer name was I Love UUV Jeja, Jeja at the end. And that basically means I Love UUV's protege. That was his gamer name. So, yeah, and Boxer, I believe in an interview, called Canata the next big Terran. He said Canata is going to be the next big Terran. I can feel it. And everyone thought the same, especially most of his teammates, because Canata was winning against all of his teammates. It was a lot like the Sky High situation before Sky High broke out in the Pro League mid-finals there against Hwasun Oz. Before he did that reverse all-kill there, everyone was saying that Sky High was beating everyone inside the team. And he didn't really show that on the outside, though. He didn't show that against other players. It looks like the barracks coming up for Canata over here. And yeah, it looks like Fantasy is actually looking around for proxies. But yeah, Canata was supposed to be Fantasy, but he didn't fulfill that role. He didn't break out. He didn't become the next big Terran. And his time kind of passed. And then Fantasy started coming up. Fantasy, the real protege of I Love UUV, bringing out stellar play left and right, just completely innovating the scene, pumping life into Terran play, Terran versus Zerg especially. So this match might be a redeeming match for Canata, because Canata has been breaking out recently. He's finally showing excellent play in all of his matchups. He's been focusing mostly on his versus Zerg play, I think. His versus Zerg is becoming very good. But who knows? Maybe Canata can actually move up and fulfill his role that Boxer once said that he would have. Fantasy is building a proxy factory up here, so I think he's going to try to sneak some vultures in, try to get something done over there, or maybe just try to fake Canata out here. I'm not sure what this proxy factory is going to do, but it's going to be very interesting to see what happens there. So yeah, this is kind of, I'm not sure. This is a very personal battle, I feel, between these two players. You'll notice that they weren't really smiling much before the beginning of the game. And I think that does have a lot to do with the situation here. Canata, he wants to be the next big Terran. He was the original I Love Movie protege. He was supposed to break out, and he's going to try to do that here. He's still in the MSL too, and he's moving up in the MSL, and he's doing great in the OSL here. So I think that Canata is finally showing what he's worth after all of these years. Double starport coming up for Fantasy here, so that proxy factory is going to be probably for a couple of vultures, just to try to sneak those in, get them in a little bit earlier than usual. Canada's going up here to scout. I think he has a couple of Marines out there, but yeah, he's not using them to scout. He's using them for defense right now. Well, he's building a supply depot. Actually, Canata went for an expansion here, so he's very low on troop count. I don't think he has his factory up yet, so this could absolutely decimate. No, he has his factory up because he has his first vulture out. But yeah, this could absolutely destroy Canata if he isn't ready for all the raids that are going to be getting up in his grill soon. I'm not sure why I said that. That's just the first thing that popped into my head. Yeah. Finally getting back into commentating here. So I'm going to say a lot of weird stuff. But it looks like the couple of vultures coming down for Fantasy, and he's going to probably try to pick off a couple of SCVs here, sneaking them in, picking off a couple of SCVs, and he's sneaking past there wasn't a wall in here from Canata actually, so he could lose a lot of SCVs here. Fantasy has excellent vulture control, and he might be able to pick off a lot while he's pumping double Wraith. Double the Wraith. Double mint action coming up. He's going to have those Wraiths in soon, and I don't think that Canata is going to be able to deal with this at all. He does have a tank, but man, he's not going to have any anti-air to deal with the Wraiths here. And since it's double Wraith, Canata is trying to build on this armory and try to get some Goliaths out, but I really don't think it's going to be in time. A couple of Wraiths are going to be in here picking at SCVs, and there's going to be absolutely nothing to fight them off. Absolutely nothing. There might be a couple of Marines still out in the field, but that's it. That's really it. And yeah, Fantasy's not going to devote to Cloak right here. Those two Marines, the Rainer brothers coming in, trying to get rid of the Wraiths, but yeah, Fantasy's actually backing off here, surprisingly enough. I thought that he would try to pick off those. He is picking off the Raider brothers here. Goodbye, Raider brothers, Jim and Billy Bob, I guess. Billy Bob Rainer. And Cloak technology is going to be researched here. The control tower coming up on one of the starports here. 4 Wraiths. Absolutely decimating. This is going to be very, very bad for Canata. He finally got his armory up, so he's going to be able to get out Goliath, but man, he's going to lose so many SCVs. He could try to run them to his natural, but there's nothing at the natural either. Canata's trying to get up turrets right now, and he's trying to actually break through the wall in from Fantasy. But Fantasy, he's going to have some troops on the ground soon enough, taking out so many SCVs. And Canata, I think he ran some of his SCVs over here, and he's building a turret underneath the floated engineering bay there, so that's very smart on his part. And he brought his tank in here, actually. So Fantasy's wall is broken here, so Canata's actually moving into the main of Fantasy, so Fantasy is going to have to bring his Wraiths back and try to get rid of that tank. And now I think Fantasy is going to lose a lot of his SCVs. He's surrounding this tank, getting a lot of damage done there. Finally going to pick off that tank with the Wraiths. 4 Wraiths in here, and now Fantasy is behind in bases, but he took out a lot of SCVs. So I'd say the SCV count, the SCV saturation is pretty even for both. But eventually Canata is going to have a very strong economy. And Fantasy might be, yeah, he saved up minerals for another base here, and he's going to commit to that instead of pumping Rays at the moment.